and other related risks. These realities are as real as rain. Stay tuned to KBLA Talk 1580 for more details about the most progressive multimedia and live events campaign any black media outlet has ever undertaken to combat the climate catastrophe. Experts, events, empowerment. It's all on the way from unapologetically progressive KBLA Talk 1580. We don't black down. We level up.
Level up, 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 level up.
I'm Tavis Smiley, and I'm delighted to have you in with us today. And I have been looking forward to this hour for quite some time now. When we last tried to do this, my dear friend, sister, mentor, teacher, Nikki Giovanni, was stricken with laryngitis, and she could not speak at the time. And in fact, she called me and was literally whispering on the phone to tell me how apologetic she was that she couldn't honor her commitment to appear on the program that day. As I recall, it gave us a great opportunity, though, because I've been so blessed, and I do mean blessed, to have so many brilliant conversations with Nikki Giovanni over the years, some in private, some in public. But it gave me a chance very quickly to go into our vault, and I pulled out a conversation that we had a couple years ago on the occasion of the 50th anniversary of this iconic conversation that she conducted with James Baldwin in Paris, or London, as I recall, somewhere overseas. It was a great conversation and produced for a great program on PBS back then. Ellis Hazlip was the brother behind that project, as I recall. So we had a chance to dig into the vault to pull out this great conversation that she had with James Baldwin. And so many of you were just thrilled by the opportunity to hear that dialogue, for those who hadn't heard it 2 years ago when it first broadcast. And so we, again, went into the vault right quick and pulled out one of our best of Nikki Giovanni conversations, and promised you then that when she got better, she'd be on this program. Well, she is back. She is better than ever, and we finally today get a chance to talk for the hour about her new documentary, Going to Mars, the Nikki Giovanni Project. Take a listen to the trailer.
I was born in Knoxville, Tennessee, but I am an earthling.
And it's an honor to introduce this woman. She is the most renowned black poet this world has ever seen. There is no you without this goddess.
So you're sort of a prophet.
I would hate to think of myself as being a prophet. Prophets die.
I'm also a dreamer, but I don't understand why my dreams can't come true. So I will continue to do what my grandfather could not do. I will fight. I'm a fighter.
The history of our people is a great history, and it's our duty to tell that story. This is not a poem. This is an explosion. This is a rocket. Let's ride.
Nikki Giovanni, I am always better when I hear your voice, so let me hear it. How are you today?
I'm hearable. You know, I've never had laryngitis before, and it's the strangest. Anybody who's listening, it is the strangest feeling, because you're not sick or something, but all of a sudden you can't be heard. I can still, and I can hear a little bit of it, but it was just like, oh my God, why do I have to have laryngitis when I'm talking to Tavis? And I had a concert that night, and so I had the worst 2 days of my life. I had laryngitis, and I thought, well, you know, what am I being punished for something?
No, 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 no. You are not being punished. You've given the universe and all of us who inhabit it so much to be thankful for. So in no way you are being punished. But we are grateful to hear your voice. And to your point, I still hear a little bit of it in your voice. I know you're still trying to push your way through. But let me just start by this. This means a lot to me. And I won't go back to what I talked about in the first hour, but I was chastising a particular guest who was booked on this program in our first hour for doing something that I found a bit untoward at the last minute. Again, I won't go back into that, but I raised that because I said in the first hour of this program, this is a 3-hour program that I do syndicated every day, but I said in the first hour, if you have a legitimate reason like Nikki Giovanni where you cannot appear and we need to reschedule, I'm all for that. Stuff happens. I'm not stuck on stupid. I'm not naive. I get that. But I get bothered by people. I get bothered by people in this world, in this moment, in this frame that we live, who don't keep their word. Your word is all you have. Somebody said your word is your bond. Now, I just want to start by just saying to you how much I appreciate you for all these decades of knowing you. You've never told me you were going to do something, Nikki Giovanni, that you did not do. You got better, or at least relatively better, enough to come back on this program. I just want to start by saying how much I appreciate you being a truth teller and keeping your word.
No, thank you. No, as I say, it was just Tavis. You have no idea, and it'd be like you're on. You're doing your, and then you can hear your voice going away, and you're saying, "Oh, not today. This is the show I wanted to do." So it was funny. I had to sing a song, and I had no voice, but you're on the mic, and I've been working with Javon Jackson, and really just having such a good time. And I just leaned into the mic and said, well, because there were some notes you can't make, but I'm not a singer anyway. So that was my excuse, If you want a singer, call Ella Fitzgerald. But we had a good time. It really was. Working with Javon has been very, very, working with the next generation. Yeah. Not that you're not young. Yeah. But Javon is way younger than we are.
No, I ain't as young as I used to be, but I'm grateful that I'm still here to spend some time with you. Yeah. Just getting started in this conversation with Nikki Giovanni, I sort of feel bad because I can still hear the remnants of that laryngitis. But she's a trooper. You heard her say in that trailer, I'm a fighter, and we're going to fight through this hour to honor her commitment to talk to you about her new documentary, HBO documentary, Going to Mars, the Nikki Giovanni Project. There are 3 things she said in that trailer that I want to unpack immediately. One, she said, I'm a dreamer and I don't understand why my dreams can't come true. We're going to unpack that. She said, I'm a fighter, and I want to know the backstory of how she became a fighter and why she still is. And then she said, it's our duty to tell our stories. We'll talk about that, and that's just for starters. A great deal to come in this hour with the one and only Nikki Giovanni on Tavis Smiley.
What's your quarrel with the world? You're listening to Tavis Smiley.
Escalade IQ. This the intro to the all-electric Cadillac, perfection like Zoom. And on a full charge, you get 450 miles without the stop. Haiku. This is what I do. Daddy fat intellect since 92. Linked all the way back, panoramic roof. Come with 24-inch rim standard. Ooh, why? Shawty don't kill him. Cadillac diamond in the back, cold chillin'. And when I'm on attack, on the track is no ceiling. Sky's the limit. You me? Straight drop, no parachutes. Lay lines like a longitude and latitude. Dilly, beloved, clearly we're hustling. Bussin', truckin'. Cadillac.
For more on the Escalade IQ, visit Cadillac.com.
Available late 2024. GM estimate 450 mile range. On a full charge based on development testing and/or analytical projection. Consistent with SCHA 1634 revision 2017 MCT. Range subject to change prior to production. Annual rates may vary based on service factors, including ambience temperature, terrain, battery age, and condition load, and how you use and maintain your vehicle.
Beloved Entertainment presents Sweet Spot Live with me, Angelique Francis, at the beautiful Miracle Theater at 226 South Market Street in Inglewood on Sunday, November 19th at 6 p.m. Join me with KBLA for short stories told live on stage with us, by us. Yes, our own storytellers straight from the neighborhood. Colorful and provocative live storytelling event celebrating our unique culture, our strength, our courage, our faith, and yes, our fire. We invite you to walk with us through the neighborhood, even run with us down our dark alleys if you dare. Just around the corner, there is laughter, unspeakable pain, secrets never told. But don't worry. The door is unlocked, and we're going to leave the porch light on. That's Sunday, November 19th at the Miracle Theater, 226 Market Street in Inglewood, 6 p.m. Yes, it is all happening right here in the Sweet Spot. Tickets available, sweetspotlive.eventbrite.com, sweetspotlive.eventbrite.com. We got a lot to talk about.
Anyone can choose to make a difference. You can help people succeed, rebuild after disasters, protect the environment, or feed the hungry. Not only will you make a difference for others, but for yourself. You can earn money for college, learn career skills, and make friendships that last a lifetime. Make a difference. Choose your future. Choose AmeriCorps.
If you're like me, 60 and retired, making ends meet, especially here at the supermarket and drugstore, is tough. I'm so blessed to have found benefitscheckup.org. It's a free and confidential website from the National Council on Aging that connected me to $1,200 a year in programs that help pay for food, medicine, utilities, and more. Maybe it can help you. benefitscheckup.org.
Who do you trust to get at the truth? Tavis Smiley. That's who. The conversation continues right now.
Going to Mars, the Nikki Giovanni Project travels through time and space to reveal the enduring influence of Nikki Giovanni. Of course, one of our greatest living artists and social commentators. She reckons in the documentary with the inevitable passing of time in intimate verite and revealing archival footage. The film is a collision of memories and moments in American history, live readings, and really innovative visual treatments of her poetry. It runs about 102 minutes. It's on HBO, and I am pleased to have Nikki Giovanni as our guest in this hour. Nikki, let me start with just those two or three things I mentioned a moment ago that just jump out at me. I mean, the thing about talking to you, and I've been so fortunate in my career, is that everything you say is poetry. Everything you say is prose, and so when you speak, all your words just fall on me in so many beautiful ways, myriad ways. But when I hear you say, "I'm a dreamer, and I don't understand why my dreams can't come true," unpack that for me.
Well, I am of the generation we have. You know, we had grandmothers. Now, everybody's got a grandmother, or, you know, they have a mother, and so the mother had a mother. But we had grandmothers. And so many of my generation lived with our grandmothers. Mm-hmm. And I had to laugh. When I wrote that, one of the things that I talk about it in the documentary is that, you know, as we were growing up and we saw how our grandmothers, not that our grandfathers didn't, but how our grandmothers, how they wanted us to be educated, to be able to vote, to be free. And so we had a choice. My generation had a choice. We could change the world, or we could tell our grandmothers that we couldn't. Mm. And it was way easier to change the world than to go way. You know, you and I was thinking about John Lewis. I was coming through Atlanta fairly recently, and they have a lovely, if you come to the ATL, the airport, you know, you'll see it. Mm-hmm. A lovely exhibit on John. And I thought about that, and John had the same attitude. It's way easier to change the world than to tell our grandparents that we couldn't do it. Mm-hmm. And so we changed it. Now, we couldn't do anything, and we can't, about racism, but we could do something about segregation. Mm-hmm. So we got rid of segregation, and now it's up to another generation to make a decision, and it's up to, frankly speaking, white people, because black people have never been racist. Mm. We were never scared to sit next to them on a bus. Mm. We were never afraid to sit next to them and eat a hamburger. You know, things like that didn't bother us, and we never had to put signs up that said, you know, black only or African American only. We weren't afraid, and they are afraid, so they need to be teaching their children as well as constantly telling themselves, I have no reason to be afraid of Negroes. They should make a sign. I am not afraid of Negroes.
And what do you think that fear is born of? And I ask that because, as you well know, being a longtime professor yourself, we're in this frame right now where they're afraid to tell the truth. They're afraid to hurt the feelings of the white kids in the classroom. They don't want to be put upon in any sort of way. So on what do you think that fear of Negroes is based?
Well, it's the generation that wants to, the Nazi generation, DeSantis, Trump and them, they want the power because the younger kids aren't. If we threw a bunch of kids, black and white, Jew and Gentile, into a room, they'd all play. But it takes some of those older people to say, we don't want to be close to them. And well, there's a song, you have to be carefully taught to hate. And they're trying to teach their children to be afraid and to hate, because the children didn't just be born and say, I'm going to hate, if I may, I'm going to hate a Negro when I grow up. That's what I want to do. They are taught that. And they're going to have to unteach themselves because they are life forms. And I believe that. And it's not a religion like that, but I believe that there are life forms in the galaxy that we are right now unable to face. And we're going to have to do better, because that's why I wrote the poem, Quilting the Black Eyed Pea, because the only people right now, and I mean no disrespect to you or any other of the men, but the only people qualified to go into space are black women, because we're not afraid of anything. We make ourselves at home. We do. Wherever we are, we make ourselves at home. And no matter what has happened to us, and a lot of it has been ugly, we have found a way to love. And I think a black woman is a phenomenon. You talk about an age. I think a black woman is a phenomenon. Look what we do without grandmothers.
Yeah, I can't imagine my life without my big mama. I can't imagine, or my mother Adele. I can't imagine my life without my grandmothers. The second thing I want to interrogate is this line from you in that trailer that the audience heard, that I'm a fighter. I am a fighter. I want to come to this because I've known people in my life who have fought for certain periods of time, and then they give up, or the fight gets beaten out of them, or they find another reason to surrender. But you have been a lifelong fighter. What has animated that fight all these decades, Nikki Giovanni?
Oh, well, honestly, I just see those old ladies sitting up in heaven in their rocking chair. My mother was a beer drinker. My grandmother drank bourbon. I can see all of them sitting up in heaven saying, that's my baby. And if they're sitting there and they want to be proud of me, they don't want to say, that's my baby, she ran away. They want to say, she won. And I can just see them sitting up in heaven, drinking and in their rocker and saying, they're doing okay. We're not going to get everything done, my generation nor anybody. But the people that I think we all respond to. Tavis, look at how long you've been fighting just to get your voice, to make sure that your voice stays out. Look at how long. I don't have to tell you. You know how long. And I remember you when you started. And everybody said, oh, it's one of the, oh, he won't make it. Well, I don't know what make it means. You know what I mean? And you never let those fools keep you from going ahead to do what you wanted to do. And I think that's what's important, because you too, you talk about your big mama. What the fuck? Excuse me. I'm so sorry. I didn't mean that. I've been home all day long.
And now your phone rings.
All day long, and nothing has happened. And now, thank you. And the minute that I'm on the phone to you,
Yeah, it happens. It happens. It's called life. It's called life. Yeah.
Tell them to excuse me. I did not mean to.
No, it happens. And you're Nikki Giovanni, and at this point, you get to say what you want to say.
I didn't mean to say that.
No, we'll do our best to bleep it out. But you are Nikki Giovanni. You've earned the right. You've earned the right to express yourself as you choose to. But to this point, this conversation about fighting. I wonder whether or not we have entered into a phase of black life in this country where you think black people have fight fatigue, or you see it a different way? Do you see us ready for the rest of the journey that is to come?
I see us as continuing.
Mm-hmm.
We are standing on the shoulders, as the old folks say, or our ancestors say, we are climbing Jacob's ladder.
Oh, yeah.
And I think a lot of people want a miracle, and there aren't. And I don't think there are going to be any miracles. I think that we will continue this journey. And I know we got a history there that says that Black Americans, African Americans, and these are specific people, African Americans have changed planet Earth and how we look at it. And we will continue that change. You know, during one of the breaks, they were listening, they played rap, which, you know, I'm kind of old for rap. I see some of the youngsters I know, and they know all of the words. And I think, wow, how'd you do that? But I know all the words to the spirituals, and I know jazz. You were playing Miles Davis when we came on. And we continue to teach each other. But the world raps right now. If we were in Hong Kong, we could go to a nightclub or a club, whatever they call it, and there'd be somebody there rapping in Chinese. We wouldn't know what they're saying, but that's what they would do. We would know the beat. And Black Americans we're fantastic. So a lot of people are saying, well, okay, they're shooting us in the back, but they've always been doing that. When have they not? But we have continued forward. When have they not tried to steal from us? When have they not taken our songs? Every time I hear Strange Fruit, you know, I hear Billie Holiday, and they say, oh, look who wrote it. I know who wrote it. Billie Holiday wrote it. They stole it from her. And so if Billie Holiday, whom I did not get to know, I wish I had, but if Billie Holiday was here, she said, yeah, they steal. That's what they do. And I will, as Nina Simone came back with Mississippi Goddamn, and somebody will steal that when they can find a play to put it in, when they can put it on Broadway. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
All of a sudden, there'll be some white guy we never heard of, and everybody said, oh, he's really brilliant. Look at how he did that. And he stole it from Nina Simone. But these are things we know, but we continue to create, is what I'm trying to say. We continue to create, knowing that people are going to take some of it. But what we're giving is more important than what they're taking.
Speaking of creating, I tapped into this conversation ever so gently yesterday, and I pulled back because I knew you were coming today. I said, let me hold that. I put this thought out there. So let me hold that for tomorrow, but I know Nikki Giovanni's going to be here. To your point about creating, how do you process, or what do you say to us about the struggles that we encounter when we try to create and situate Afrocentric work in a Eurocentric frame, because that's the frame that we're in. But what do you say to us about centering, about advancing Afrocentric work when we're forced to do it inside of a Eurocentric frame, if that makes sense?
I think we continue to do what we've always done. You know, one of the really great New World things are quilts. And the most beautiful quilts in America come from Gee's Bend in Alabama. There's a Gee's Bend is where the river bends, right? And they can't say, well, the Smithsonian won't hang my quilt. They continue, and I say they because the women did that, but they continue to make them. And then the Smithsonian came in and said, we'd like to hang them, we'd like to buy it. And I don't know if you've been to Gee's Bend relatively recently. I was there 5 years ago. But you can tell the quilters from the rest of the people because all of the quilters had new cars. Did you notice that?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was so funny. And I was saying, I took a friend and I said, now we can see who quilts and who doesn't because we can see who got a new car. And, you know, you have to do, you can't anticipate how what you do will be accepted. And it's the same thing that we were talking about rapping. Well, you know, people said rapping is not English, but what it is, it's a vernacular. But Dante's Inferno, all of that. If we go back to the Italian Renaissance, that's a vernacular. And if the Italians can have a vernacular, so can we. And we do. And so it's a question you and I, certainly not. I'm 80, so I won't see it. We won't see it when our vernacular becomes classical, but we know it's coming. We know that's coming. So it just continues we continue to work. We continue to do our duty.
We continue to work. We continue to do our duty. And speaking of our duty, you heard Nikki Giovanni say once more in that trailer that it is our duty to tell our story. When we come forward, I want to interrogate her on that. This notion that it is our duty to tell our story. There's no doubt about the fact that our story is worthy of being told, needs to be told. It's rich and beautiful and textured and layered, and nobody has told our story better than Nikki Giovanni. But I want to ask her thoughts and her advice to all the rest of us in this moment in late modernity about how we continue to tell our story. And it's not just, again, an opportunity. She says it is our duty to tell our story. We're talking with the one and only, the brilliant Nikki Giovanni, a world-renowned poet, one of the foremost authors of the Black Arts Movement. She is the focus of an HBO documentary. It's called Going to Mars, the Nikki Giovanni Project. We continue our conversation with this icon when we come forward on Tavis Smiley.
Interrogating and unpacking. That's what we do around here. You're listening to Tavis Smiley.
What's up, party people? It's your favorite MC's favorite rapper, MC Light here. And we're celebrating 50 years of hip-hop, authentically powered by Cadillac. And we're going to take it way back to where it started. It was only fitting that hip-hop began with teenagers at a back-to-school jam in the rec room of a South Bronx apartment complex by an 18-year-old brother. By the way, I'm also sure he had a Cadillac parked outside. He noticed the energy on the dance floor when he switched between two turntables, extending the beats, repeating the breaks, and never losing the rhythms. And that was the birth of hip-hop. And from that moment, it took off.
For more on how Cadillac is celebrating hip-hop's 50th, visit Cadillac.com/audacity.
We welcome you to a Thursday. It's November 16th. I'm Mike Moore. Now here's the latest from the Black Information Network. A code of ethics is being adopted by the U.S. Supreme Court. The justices say it's an effort to strengthen the public's confidence in the nation's highest court. Democrats have been pushing for ethics reform following reports of justices taking high-priced trips and accepting other benefits from wealthy donors. In Massachusetts, a new Citizens for Juvenile Justice report has provided details of disciplinary patterns at Springfield schools and found that students of color are disproportionately subjected to disciplinary action, which includes arrests. Black students make up about 18% of the school population, but they account for nearly a quarter of those disciplined and 50% of the arrests. And that's the latest. I'm Mike Moore from your 24/7 news source, the Black Information Network and BINnews.com.
Major problem working in Lakeview Terrace on the 210 West at Wheatland Avenue. All lanes are blocked now. One vehicle went over the side there. Traffic jamming up at Sunland Boulevard. In Torrance, 405 South at Normandy Avenue, a stalled vehicle blocking the carpool lane. Heavy there from Artesia Boulevard. And in Monterey Park, 710 North at the 10, an accident on the shoulder was slowing from Cesar Chavez.
Looking for a better way to get around LA? SoCal 511 gives you real-time traffic alerts to help you find faster ways to get around LA County. It's totally free and helps motorists easily find Fast Track and roadside assistance services. Visit go511.com or dial 511 on your phone.
This is the KBLA Sports Minute with Ray Richardson.
A dismal night for the Lakers at Crypto.com. They lose at home by 15 to the Sacramento Kings. The Lakers committed 23 turnovers. 11 of those turnovers belong to LeBron and Anthony Davis. Get ready to hear some talk in the streets about the Lakers making a trade. The Lakers reportedly are one of 4 teams interested in swinging a deal for Chicago Bulls guard Zach LaVine. The former UCLA star is not happy in Chicago. The Bulls are off to a 4-8 start. We'll keep you updated on this development. Golden State's Draymond Green was suspended for the 5th time in his career. This time, the NBA sat him down for 5 games for putting Minnesota center Rudy Gobert in a chokehold Tuesday night. The suspension will cost Green $1.36 million. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson. More news, opinions, and conversation when we come forward on KBLA Talk 1580.
We've got a lot to talk about.
Are you interested in catching up on all the latest entertainment news, trending topics, and exciting interviews? I got you. Tune in to The Raw Report with Robin Ayers, Monday through Friday, 6 to 7 p.m. I'm your host, Robin Ayers. Join me every weekday with some of the best entertainment contributors in the business as we break down what's going on, who's got next, and what not to miss. Only on The Raw Report with Robin Ayers.
Unapologetically progressive. KBLA Talk 1580. We've got your black. This is KBLA Talk 1580. Talk radio. That's music to your ears. We're unapologetically progressive. KBLA Talk 1580.
KBLA Talk 1580 is the exclusive media sponsor of This Light of Ours, activist photographers of the Civil Rights Movement. A dynamic new exhibition on view now at the Skirball Cultural Center in Los Angeles. This Light of Ours showcases more than 150 photos taken by movement insiders from diverse backgrounds that reveal the vital work undertaken by a broad coalition of organizers and everyday people whose collective action changed America. This Light of Ours is one of 3 temporary exhibitions currently on view at the Skirball, which together explore issues related to civil rights, immigration, and pluralism. Tickets and more information for all 3 exhibitions are available at skirball.org. That's skirball.org. SKIRBALL.org.
When breaking news happens, keep it locked to KBLA Talk 1580.
So pleased to announce that the 43rd mayor of the city of Los Angeles is on the phone. Mayor Karen Bass, good morning.
Good morning. How are you doing, Dominique?
Good. You must be incredibly swamped right now, and I appreciate you checking in. It's indefinitely what we're hearing, that the 10 freeway to be down?
Yes, that is the case. All of those travel apps, pay attention to those. As we get information, they've been uploaded right away. So those maps should be accurate. But we actually are trying to tell people to stay on freeways, to follow the route, because our streets can't handle 300,000.
Yeah.
Our streets would be parking lots. There is metro, there is public transportation. So they're increasing the frequency of trains and increasing the frequency of buses. So you can go to 511 and learn about metro. You can go to emergency.lacity.gov to learn about any information on the city. This is a time for all of us to stay together. We're trying every avenue possible. That's why it's so important that you reached out, Dominique. Always want to make sure that the KBLA audience is up to speed.
Mayor Karen Bass, thank you so much. Godspeed.
All right, thank you.
At KBLA Talk 1580, we've got your black. Smart talk for curious people just like you. You're listening to Tavis Smiley.
Tavis Smiley in dialogue with Nikki Giovanni, who is the subject of a brilliant documentary on HBO. It's called Going to Mars, the Nikki Giovanni Project. Delighted to be in dialogue with her once more in my career, and I always count it a blessing to sit at her feet and to listen and to learn and to love on her for all that she has done for us. Nikki, in that trailer for Going to Mars, one other thing I wanted to give you a chance to unpack. This comment that you make, that we have a duty, that ours is a beautiful story, but we have a duty to tell our story. Every time I hear you even talk about this, I think about the fact that each of us doesn't just have a story. In fact, each of us is a story. We don't just have a story. We are stories. And here you come now suggesting and telling us that we have a duty, each of us, to tell our own stories. Talk to me about that.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I think so. Sometimes people think that somebody else, a producer, a publisher, or whatever, sometimes we think that our story rests in the hands of somebody else. Mm-hmm. But I think it's so important to remember that your story is about you and your people. And for example, mm-hmm. Anne Frank didn't know that she was writing one of the most important documents of World War II. Mm-hmm. She just kept a diary every day. And it talked about a number, what she ate, the crush she had on one of her fellow survivors, who ultimately they're all going to die. But she just kept a regular diary. She didn't have to make up anything. She just kept, this is what she's doing. And we too, I'm saying we too as Black Americans, we have stories that our grandparents, and in some cases, if we're lucky, our great-grandparents tell us. But particularly we have stories about coming from, for example, coming from Mississippi or Alabama or Georgia, and what it meant and how, whether it was a lot of trouble or not, but the joy of moving, if I may, out of Mississippi and getting to St. Louis, for example.
Mm-hmm.
And then we hear all of the music coming in St. Louis, and of course the food, the barbecue. And so, and I have good friends who are Jamaicans, and Jamaicans talk about jerk, but the best barbecue in the world is coming from, in all fairness, is coming from St. Louis. And so these people that are coming up from Mississippi, and they too are building, they're digging a hole, and they're smoking food. And all of a sudden that becomes a worldwide. And somebody said, well, your granddaddy had to do that with a cheap shovel. They had to pass it around, or, getting the wood. They had to go out and get the wood. I mean, it's just, there's some wonderful stories about how we got over. How we got over.
Yeah.
Some great stories. And you really wish that people would think about, not just the sorrow, because there's sorrow, of course, but the wonderful, we really loved it when your aunt, Josephine came by, because she would always sing a song for us, or your uncle, Smith would come, and he would, there's some stories.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm always trying to encourage people to write the stories, because even though it may or may not get published in your lifetime, and that's what you have to remember. I mentioned Anne Frank.
Mm-hmm.
She was way dead before she had any idea of what she had accomplished. But to tell the story, so that eventually somebody can put it together, and see what people like you and I see, because we both like Black people, and being able to see what it is that we have accomplished, what we did. These are wonderful stories. These are great.
You just said two or three things I want to interrogate right quick. Again, everything that comes out of your mouth is prose to me, and it certainly leads me to ask another question. I was about to say one thing, and then you dropped another bar on me. So let me come to this one right quick. You just said a moment ago, and I heard it, and the audience heard it. You said, Tavis, we both like Black people. We both like Black people. There's something there. I don't know what it is. I'm going to ask anyway. What does it mean in this moment to truly like Black people?
Well, a lot of people don't. Mm-hmm. And a lot of people are embarrassed or ashamed. And as August Wilson, who I'm so sorry I didn't know, and Pittsburgh is such an important city for Black people too, but as August Wilson said, there's more to being Black than meets the eye. Mm-hmm. And we know that. Like Clarence, that's true. Yeah. We watch Clarence Thomas, and we realize he does not like Black people.
Yeah.
And what he wants to do is not be. But and I mentioned you and I because I've known you so long time.
Mm-hmm.
And we both do like Black people. We enjoy being in the company of Black people. We enjoy listening to our stories. And I think that that's important, that you have to like who you are and where you came from. Mm. I just think it's important without judging yourself. I met a billionaire, by the way, about a month or so ago, and I had never. Billionaires are real different. Don't say that. I don't know if you know. You're in California, you might know something.
Yeah.
But we were in London, and he was a billionaire, and it was like, and he had invited us to for a reception for the film, and it was like, oh, this is what billionaires do. It was fantastic. It really was, I was practically standing with my mouth up. I've been to nice receptions.
Yeah.
And then there was this billionaire. And it was incredible. And he was just saying, as you did, it made me so proud. He's a Black man. And there are not that many Black billionaires.
That's right.
And he was saying he was so proud to be a part of this. And I was just saying, I'm so proud that you have taken the resources that you have built to be a part of the arts community.
Mm-hmm.
He didn't have to do that.
Mm-hmm.
You know, he could have done 800,000 other things, but it was just so wonderful that this young man, one, that he's brilliant, but two, that the resources, I don't know, provided. I mean, God provided or what.
Sure,
he's
sure.
smart enough. And then he puts it back into the black community. It was just, you know, I didn't cry, but it really touched me. It really touched me.
Yeah.
And, you know, you see some things like that and you think, oh, yeah, we're going to be okay.
Yeah.
We're okay.
Speaking of we're going to be okay, I'm thinking of Kendrick Lamar. We're going to be all right. That's Kendrick, right? That's the anthem. We're going to be all right.
Yeah.
When we come forward, I want to, it'd be unfair to look at my clock to ask her this question now to give her 30 seconds to respond, but I'll give her some more time on the other side to unpack this. But there are really two questions that are burning. One is, you heard Nikki say she's now achieved the age of 80. And I wonder what she has to say to us about aging. For those of us who are not blessed to be at that point yet, what does she have to say? What wisdom does she have to offer us about aging? This documentary looks back on her entire life and her legacy and her work and her witness. What does she have to say to us in this present moment about aging in black skin? I certainly want to take her temperature, as I always do. I never talk to Nikki Giovanni without getting her temperature, and I've got all this stuff on tape, all these conversations over the years. I always want to get her read on the present moment in American history. We can talk about that domestically. We can talk about it globally, Israel, Hamas, so many things to talk about, but I always want to get her read on this particular moment in American history. And a few other things I want to cover when we come forward with our esteemed guest in this hour, our dear friend and sister, Nikki Giovanni on Tavis Smiley.
For all the freedom-loving folk, this is Tavis Smiley.
I feel like freedom. What is dedication?
My biggest fear in the middle of my addiction was that my kids wouldn't have a father. And I started thinking, you know what? This isn't my story. I definitely had to become a better man to be a better father. It's important to me that my kids are empowered and truly believe that if they can think it, they can do it.
That's dedication. Visit fatherhood.gov to hear more. Brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services and the Ad Council.
Joey from Vermont, a farmer trying to get through the winter. Adriana from South Carolina, a single mother living paycheck to paycheck. Liam from Ohio, an injured father struggling to provide for his family. Hi, I'm Shanola Hampton, and I support the Feeding America network of food banks because they help provide over 6 billion meals to people in need each year. Learn more at feedingamerica.org.
Environmental justice, pollution, and climate. In Los Angeles and across America, people of color are suffering and dying from disproportionate health impacts on a planet that has less than 10 years to prevent irreversible damage. Heat illnesses, respiratory illnesses, water-related illnesses, food system impacts, insect-related diseases, black maternal health, and mental health effects. As the impacts of climate change mount, millions of vulnerable people, our people, are going to bear the brunt of these extreme environmental events, which will likely lead to forced displacement, loss of cultural identity, and other related risks. These realities are as real as rain. Stay tuned to KBLA Talk 1580 for more details about the most progressive multimedia and live events campaign any black media outlet has ever undertaken to combat the climate catastrophe. Experts, events, empowerment. It's all on the way from unapologetically progressive KBLA Talk 1580. We don't black down. We level up.
Level up, 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 level up.
Boom, 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 boom. Nissan has a car for every driver who wants more. More action. More fun. More guts. More head turns. More adventure. More electric. At Nissan, more is all we do.
Let's get back to more of Tavis Smiley right now.
Nikki Giovanni, I go into my library sometimes just to listen to all the wisdom you shared with me over the years on stages and in studios. And my mind, of course, always thinks about our private conversations. But I have never had a conversation with you, and this ain't going to be no different, where I don't ask you to give me your read on this present moment in American history. And fortunately, I've got decades of these tapes. But how are you reading this present moment?
Well, I think that there's a lot of people are unhappy, and I'm not really sure how to make it better on that level. I am 80, and I am not giving up on people or the possibility. But for example, most of us are better off financially. But if you ask the average American, black or white, what do you think about the economy? They say no. Mm-hmm. I don't know what more we want. I think Biden is doing, in other words, a good job. And when people talk about Biden being old, I think, oh, no, I'm old. There's nothing wrong with that. He's still holding his own. So, but I'm a Democrat. And when I think of politics, of course, I always think of Fannie Lou Hamer. And it meant so much to Mrs. Hamer that we vote. Mm-hmm. And she collected, remember, she started Mississippi Freedom Democratic Party.
Oh, yes.
And took a bus to Atlantic City, and Lyndon Johnson said to her, well, because he was trying to make it all right, Lyndon Johnson said, well, why don't we give you 2 of the votes of Mississippi, and in 68 we'll work it out. And she looked the President of the United States in the eye and said, we didn't come here for no 2 votes. Mm-hmm. And she left. And I've always admired that. So I'm hoping that everybody listening to us votes. Now, I would prefer Democrat, but that's not the point. The point is to vote. And if you don't like what's on the ballot, write something in. As I said to some people recently, write your dog in, but let them know you came. That you're afraid to come to the polling place. Don't even pretend. Go and let people know you have a voice, mm-hmm. and you have to use that voice. So there's a lot going on in the world. It's not a good idea. We need peace, and the only way we're going to do that is if the people who are having wars stop. That's so basic, and we know that peace is important. There's no getting around it, and I feel so sorry for all of us, actually. But some of us are being bombed, and some of us are, just being killed by soldiers. But some of us are drinking bad water. You're living in Michigan. Look at how long it took them. Look, we have a whole generation of youngsters coming from Flint, Michigan, who were drinking water with lead. Mm-hmm. So they're all going to have mental problems. I mean, not problems. They're going to be limited. Mm-hmm. But we have the same problem in Jackson, Mississippi. Mm-hmm. So you have to ask yourself, what's the difference between somebody bombing you and somebody making you drink or having only leaded water for you to drink? Am I making sense?
You're making sense, all kind of sense, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, look at what we did. Everybody's upset about, and we have a right to be upset, but what happened to the American Indian? Mm-hmm. And they weren't Indians. Columbus didn't know where he was. That's why he called them Indians. These people, that's the truth. That's the truth. But look at what we did, and look at the viciousness that we sent the Cherokee Nation. And because it was winter, we gave them blankets that were covered with smallpox. Now, what kind of people are we? And so you have Trump and them saying, well, we don't want our children to read about this thing. It'll upset the children. It's not going to upset the children as much as it upset the mothers and fathers who wrap their babies trying to keep them warm in blankets covered in smallpox. You want to upset it? How about we look at that? And so it's time that we owned up to what we've done, because we've all, the nation, ours, and everybody else, it's done ugly things. And so we can't un-ugly, but we can not continue.
There's your line. We cannot un-ugly, but we can not continue. I said 3 times. Everything she says is pros. And there's a line for you. We cannot unugly, but we can not continue. Ain't nobody like her. Love me some Nikki Giovanni.
From Lamert Park with love, this is Tavis Smiley.
If you're like me, 60 and retired, making ends meet, especially here at the supermarket and drugstore, is tough. I'm so blessed to have found benefitscheckup.org. It's a free and confidential website from the National Council on Aging that connected me to $1,200 a year in programs that help pay for food, medicine, utilities, and more. Maybe it can help you. benefitscheckup.org.
My daughter was diagnosed with a rare malignant rhabdoid tumor on the spine. They sent her straight to St. Jude. My hope was gone. But when you get there, everyone's like, hey, we're not going to give up. And when you see other people not giving up on your child, that makes all the difference in the world. When I found out I didn't have to pay, I was just grateful. They saved my baby's life.
Finding cures, saving children. Learn more at stjude.org.
KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
KBLA Talk 1580 reminding you that we keep us safe. Pro Football Hall of Famer and urban peace pioneer Jim Brown believed in just that. So he founded the Amera I Can Foundation for Social Change in 1988, focusing on at-risk and high-risk youth in underserved schools and juvenile detention facilities, as well as adult incarceration and reentry initiatives. The core of the Amera I Can program is its 15-chapter life skills curriculum. Mastery of these skills allows individuals to meet their academic potential, conform their behavior to acceptable societal standards, and improve the quality of their lives by equipping them with what they need to confidently and successfully contribute to society. Today, the foundation is led by its president, Monique Brown, who has been actively involved in the organization for more than 25 years. The Amera I Can Foundation continues its work in memory of its founder, actor, philanthropist, and NFL legend Jim Brown. To get involved or make a donation, please visit AmeriICanCommunity.partners. That's AmeriICanCommunity.partners. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
November is National Runaway Prevention and Homeless Youth Awareness Month. Join the Sanctuary of Hope all month long at community events to tackle this issue. For more info, go to www.thesoh.org. www.thesoh.org.
Mom's early Alzheimer's diagnosis was hard to take.
And when I left the Evan-On, we decided together that it was time to see a doctor and make a plan.
Early detection gave us more time to seek out information and support as a family.
If you or your family are noticing changes, it could be Alzheimer's. Talk about seeing a doctor together. For more information, visit alz.org/time to talk. A message from the Alzheimer's Association and the Ad Council.
He's rooting for everybody black. Everybody black. More of Tavis Smiley coming your way right now.
Got just 3 minutes left. Just 3 minutes left with Nikki Giovanni. I don't care how long these conversations go. Never enough time, as far as I'm concerned, just to tap into her wisdom. The documentary is on HBO. It's called Going to Mars, the Nikki Giovanni Project. Right. Once again, HBO documentary, Going to Mars, the Nikki Giovanni Project. It is the winner, by the way, the winner of the Grand Jury Prize in the U.S. documentary competition at the Sundance Film Festival. That's a big deal. That's high cotton, as we say, winning the Grand Jury Prize at the Sundance Film Festival. Again, HBO documentary, Going to Mars, the Nikki Giovanni Project. Let me close in these last 2 minutes, Nikki, giving you the last word as I always do, and I want to close with this. Again, it's my way with you, as you well know. We would be blessed. We'd be fortunate to get to 80, as you have, and you still got a lot more in front of you, no question about that. But what say you to us about what we ought to be doing between now and our getting to 80 to live useful lives as you have done?
Well, I think the main thing is that life is a good idea. And so the one thing you want to do is you want to stay alive if you can. And, you know, we've had a lot of problems in that area, but you want to stay alive and you want to find a way to enjoy it. Now, you know, it depends on your church or your synagogue or your mosque or whatever. But there has to be a community that you depend upon. And if it doesn't come from religion, then it has to come from your card playing buddy or I'm a football fan, so I know what I'm going to be doing on Sunday night. Unless something really bad comes up, Sunday night I'm going to be watching football because it makes me happy. And you deserve happiness. You deserve something that makes you happy. And that's what you have to keep that in mind, Tavis, because otherwise you're working for some ungrateful people just because they happen to be born to you or something. And that has to stop. You have a right. You have a right to your life, and you must enjoy it. Yeah. Because sooner than you think, 80 just kind of rolled up on me, and things that are happening now never happened. I never had laryngitis, or you have some basic things. I've had lung cancer and some things like that. I don't fight lung cancer, by the way, because you don't fight a disease. You try to live with it. And so every day I wake up with lung cancer. I'm glad. That's me and the lung cancer. Hey, we're still here. And you're just trying to enjoy the time. Yeah. And you want to feel like I've done something useful with this life.
Nikki Giovanni, your life has been more than useful. And you've made many of us, present company included, happy in ways that I can't even describe. I never ever lose sight. It's never lost on me that every one of these conversations that I have with you, I am blessed to have. They're meaningful to me in ways I can't even describe, particularly as I get older. So I'm delighted and indebted once again for the opportunity to talk to you. The documentary, HBO, is called Going to Mars, the Nikki Giovanni Project. Nikki Giovanni, I love you, and there ain't nothing you can do about it.
Oh, I love you, and so that works. And anytime you call, when you pop up on my phone, I answer.
I love Nikki Giovanni. Thank you. Take care of yourself. That's our program for today. Back here tomorrow. Tomorrow's Friday, the best of Tavis Smiley. Until then, thanks for tuning in, and as always, keep the faith.
KBLA 1580 Santa Monica.
It is Thursday, November 16th. I'm Mike Moore. Now, here's the latest from the Black Information Network. Israel is ordering Palestinians to leave 4 towns in southern Gaza as the country's war with Hamas rages on. This comes after Israeli forces stormed Gaza's main hospital and said they found weapons and a laptop with a photo of a kidnapped Israeli soldier on it. Over 12,000 people have been killed since the fighting started on October 7th. In Illinois, Chicago Mayor Brandon Johnson is celebrating the passage of his first budget. The city council approved